Hi, welcome to Software Should Be Free, a show where Tim Abel and David Sheardown talk about their journey into entrepreneurship, work out who they're going to serve, and hopefully that'll be you, with our skills in technology and our budding entrepreneurial ambitions. Sadly, David can't be with us today. He's got ever-expanding client work, as is the way with such things. But one of the great things about the kind of thing we do, we are in demand, and sometimes there just are big problems to solve, and you just have to get on with it. I know David is doing a lot of that right now. I'll let him share what he wants to do another time. So, the subject I got for this is, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about why I decided to call this show Software Should Be Free, which I just quite like as a title. And after that, a little bit about outsourcing, because I've done some of that recently, how that worked for me. It's my first proper outsourcing of technical work, and then just a wrap up. So I'm going to keep this nice and short. So, software should be free. Intentionally a little bit provocative. This actually comes from the fact that I have been a long-term open source user. I'm still a Linux desktop user. I still like it for all its pains. A lot of the people around me have fallen by the wayside and gone to the Macs and iPhones. You know who you are. And that's fine. I don't hold anything against them. And I often hear, I got fed up with it. I just needed something that would work, and I respect that. Personally, I wanted to retain control. But on the software should be free. So software has a zero cost of replication, or as good as. So kind of commodity-wise, it should be free, because you can make one and sell it to the entire planet. So if you spend £1 million making some software, and then you can give it to 1 billion people or more, then it's basically free. But I've tried to do much open source work, contribute to this thing, and as a user, I really like the Stallman the 4 freedoms, starting at 0, because it's nerdy, and I love that it gives rights to the users, and it kind of results in software being free by nature of, if you charge for it, someone who has the skills can just take it and republish it. And it's a little nod to like the general begrudgingness of ever paying for anything. I'll just write my own, or why do I have to pay this for that? Given that I now want to earn my keep doing maybe some more producty things, and also that I earn my entire income and run a family off the back of building software for other people. So that's very much not free. So it's not intended to be serious. It's intended to be a little bit thought-provoking. It reflects a bit of my journey in really the internal struggle I have between the free software foundation principles of users have absolute control, with the need to actually make a living as a software developer. I hope you can appreciate where I'm coming from with this. I'd love to know your take. Drop me an email, maybe tim@timwise.co.uk. I know it's a bit old school. Or grab me on Twitter, and it's Tim_Abel. Not to be confused with the other Tim Abels out there. So, I hope that gives you a bit of an insight. It just popped into my head when I was starting to think about podcasts, and because we don't really know where we're going on this journey, it seems like a nice, entertaining little thing that fits with our world that we live in. So, I won't labour that point anymore without a guest to grill me or tell me to shut up. So, on to outsourcing. So this is something that I've become increasingly aware that I have a real weakness. So as a developer, there's a bit of a tendency in myself of just doing everything because I can. So it doesn't really matter what the task is. If it's vaguely computer related, why would I not do it? And that's not to say I do everything myself. Like, because I'm a contractor, I have a limited company, I use an accountant's firm because I don't want the taxman to come and say I did it wrong. I sometimes have a gardener come and help with the house and a cleaner because I'd love to do that stuff, but I just never get around to it, and I'd end up living in a tip. And it takes the pressure off my lovely wife a little bit. But when it comes to computer things, I just never quite made the jump. So I've had a few things motivate me to start doing that. So all of the startup podcasts I've been listening to, they talk about virtual assistants and how life-changing that is. So a lot of them talk about it in terms of booking travel. I don't currently travel. I'm not really much of a traveller. I'm not about to go gallivanting around conferences, I don't think. So that's sort of like, I understand the idea, but it didn't really stick. And I've also become aware that building a business is more than just building some software. I kind of had the idea when I started on this journey that I would just build a piece of software and sell it, and that would be it. I'd be made. And my understanding from everything I've heard is that can happen, but it's a bit of a luck of the draw, a bit of a fluke, and that's not a very good plan. So if I plan to achieve, then I should do a perhaps less exciting but more well-trodden product ladder type business with all sorts of offerings, all the way from free to full-on consulting. And what I've been hearing from the likes of Pat Flynn, who else? Let me check my list quickly of my podcasts that I devour religiously. Playback history. Too many. I do listen to many podcasts. It's my main way of indoctrinating myself with what it means. Oh yes, Sonny Lenarduzzi, The Sonny Show. So certainly Pat Flynn and Sonny are both very open about the fact, although they both, on the face of it, are individual personalities, they have a team behind them that allow them to have an actual business under their brand that can do all of the things it takes to make a functioning business, and make good money doing it and serve many people. So it sort of crept into my consciousness that I'm not likely to succeed in the long run if I don't pay other people to help me or work with other people in some capacity. So as much to just try and get over the hump and start building the habit as for the actual practical benefit, I had a project that seemed appropriate. So I recently moved my blog, my timwise.co.uk, from WordPress over to what's called Jekyll, which is a static site generator. And a lot of the blog posts I imported were in raw HTML. They were a bit messy, and I've got about 100 and something posts on the site. If you can hear me clicking, I'll just, for the sake of the absence of people on my live stream, I'm just scrolling through. And they all needed converting, and I can probably run it through some kind of automated thing and maybe spend a bunch of time faffing, but that's how I always would have approached it. So I would I would like try and find or write a piece of software that would mean I could scale to a thing. But like, there's only 100 odd posts. If I could pay someone to do at least some of the work on this, then that's a bunch of time I don't have to think about it. Whereas what I found in actual experience of trying not to outsource, of trying to do it myself, is, well, I don't want to sit there and do it manually myself, but I know how to automate. So then I'll like spend a load of time looking for like a library or a conversion or a website or something that I can do some automation, and then I might end up scripting something or writing some half-brained program that processes them just for this one-off job. And I could easily spend 2 days on this. And back when I didn't have much else going on in my life, I probably would have. It's partly why it was taking me so long to start to get out of the habit. So this time I thought to myself, right, no, I'm going to actually outsource this job. So I finally sorted out my hiring person account on Upwork. You don't seem to be able to have one account to both buy and sell services, which is... I understand that, and it's fine. I've got a domain, so I can just pick a different email address. So I posted a job. I titled it HTML to Markdown blog post conversion on GitHub to try and filter to people who wouldn't be too put off by GitHub. I didn't mention, so the static site source lives on GitHub. There are links on my blog. If you go and find a blog post, you can then go and find the source of that blog post at the bottom of it, complete with history. If you then poke around there, you will find from this the person that I ended up hiring through Upwork many pull requests. So I gave them a fairly specific list of tasks. So I found an online converter, and I just asked them for every post on my site that wasn't already in Markdown to go on GitHub, copy the HTML, paste it into the online converter, paste it back into the GitHub web editor, and create a pull request. I paid them $50, which is roughly half an hour of my time, I think, at my rate, and they produced well over 100 pull requests, and it has actually helped. And there is still a load of work to do for me, so I am currently on my train rides taking the time to merge in the pull request locally, run the local Jekyll server, have a look, see how well the converted page looks, doing a bit of tidying up, doing the occasional bit of copy editing. I did quite a lot of work on my SQL Server reporting services post, because really this is an investment in my online presence, and it needs to be good, because who knows which of my articles people are going to click on. I've got more than 10 years worth of posts listed right there on the front page in a big list, and people might just skim down and pick one that looks interesting. And if it looks rubbish, or it's got something in there that's not great, then that might put them off. That might be that. I might never see them again. Particularly as I'm trying to build my personal brand a bit. So, although that leaves me with a load of work, and in theory I could have asked somebody to do a lot more of that, I'm happy that I get, as part of fiddling around, I get to do the final review and make sure I'm happy with the final product. And also, a big chunk of that has been set up exactly as I wanted it. Literally all I have to do to get what this person's done for me is merge their branch in locally. It's as simple as that, and that's a little bit of the work done. And I've been really happy with it, and I would definitely do it again. It's arguable whether I can justify the money. So, in terms of another piece of the puzzle of why I'm going in this direction, I listened to a book by Rob Moore called Money. I say listen because it was an audiobook on Audible. And one of the things that he said in there that I was kind of vaguely aware of, but he really rammed home, is know your hourly rate. And you should always be looking to do things that push your hourly rate up, and you should try and outsource just about everything that is below your current hourly rate. And where I've struggled with this as a concept before is, well, that's all very well, but you could spend all of your money outsourcing and end up worse off than if you started. So I've understood now that within the constraints of your budget and the pay yourself first system, you should spend out of that pretty much as you can to free up your time to focus on higher value things. It's a bit difficult for me at the moment because I'm contracting. So my hourly rate is kind of set, my hours are kind of set. I've got a really big jump to do anything more valuable, but I've got to think long term. I've got to think, okay, if I want to do something other than day rate contracting in the long run, then just carrying on doing day rate contracting isn't going to get me there. So this is a little piece of the puzzle. So yeah, that's about it for the recent voyage into outsourcing. Incidentally, on the start of journey thing, I just listened to Startups for the Rest of Us today, and they went back and replayed episode 14. So maybe I'll be reposting this and being amused by my own naiveness in the journey one day. So hopefully I'll find a guest. Maybe David will be back on the regular schedule. I plan to post these every fortnight. Please make sure you subscribe. This is currently on Spotify. I haven't done the iTunes submission yet. I'm not going to do it tonight because it's got really late. But there's always the RSS feed on pod.timwise.co.uk, which is all set up and running nicely now, which is hosted on the wonderful transistor.fm from Justin Jackson, who is my coach. It's not a paid endorsement. I'm a paying customer. So I looked into the free options, but at the end of the day, you've got to host and serve files. I don't want to be like running around trying to find free file hosting. Like I could put them on Dropbox or something, but it's just going to keep breaking. So I'm paying for something that just works, and it's really good so far. So yeah, check out transistor.fm if you're thinking about doing your own show, or if you can't be bothered with that, I'm pretty much set up. So drop me a line, tim@timwise.co.uk, and maybe you could be a guest. I certainly would love to hear what's bugging you in your world right now. So yeah, let's start with the listener questions, and I will let you get on with your next show, which maybe you've already got lined up. Have a nice day, morning, evening, good afternoon, and good night.